ahead, Bennett.
Good, Mike.
Just a little above average. Little above average.
Regular meeting of the Clear Lake City Council of Monday, September 21st, 2020 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mark, that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. To the consent agenda, you have a copy of the minutes of September 8th of 2020. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you also have a copy. We have the following licenses and permits: liquor license, Class C, liquor license, LC, commercial with Sunday sales, the VFW Post 4868, Class C, beer permit, BC, with Sunday sales. That's the Pilot Travel Center, number 407. We need a Class C, beer permit, BC, Class B, wine permit with Sunday sales. That's the Quick Star, number 223. Class E, liquor license, LC, Class B, wine permit, Class C, beer permit with Sunday sales. That's the Quick Shop. Those are renewals. Excavator license, LB and Sons, Clemmy, that's a renewal. And Becker Construction, Swaledale, that's new. We also have a street closing request from the Clear Lake Chamber. That's for the Harvest Fest on October 3rd. Motion, please.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Gary, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now is the time and place for any citizen in the audience who wishes to address the council on any items that are not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter the minutes. This is not a discussion time nor a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. None appearing, we'll move on to unfinished business, of which we have none this evening. We'll move directly to new business. 6A, Sunset Ridge, second edition, preliminary plat review. Mr. Flory. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council will go through the items here in the packet with you on the Sunset Ridge second residential subdivision to the City of Clear Lake. The first item in your packet on the tan sheet is a resolution approving the preliminary plat for Sunset Ridge second edition to the City of Clear Lake. On the back side of that is a letter from the chairman of the city's Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Prohaska, indicating that the proposed preliminary plat was reviewed at their most recent Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and that the commission is, by virtue of this letter, forwarding it on to you for your consideration, their favorable recommendation for the subdivision. And then the 11 by 17 white sheets that follow that are just a kind of an overview map of the various phases, kind of a overall development plan, if you will, for the Sunset Ridge second edition. And you can see the first phase is the area highlighted in blue, and the second edition that we're considering this evening is the area that's highlighted there in green. So on the back sheet, back side of that, you can see just kind of the layouts of the lots themselves and the street that would be platted as part of this. Going to be a continuation of West 12th Avenue North, which was the street that was extended as part of Phase 1 west of Buddy Holly Place. So just in the way of some further review, again, this is, as we have talked about in the past, this is part of an overall development plan for residential development in this area of the community. The first edition was platted back in August of 2015, and if you've been out there recently, you know that that's pretty close to full. I think there's maybe 3 lots left available out there for development. So that first phase consisted of 15 building lots. The second edition consists of 11 residential building lots. They range in size from about 16,000 square feet to 23,000 square feet. Again, as I mentioned, you'll notice in the plat that it involves, of course, the extension of the municipal water distribution system as well as a sanitary sewer collection system that were installed as part of the first phase of the project. And as I mentioned earlier, a continuation of West 12th Avenue North. And it'd be the same geometrics as the street that was put in as the first phase. So Portland cement, concrete, curb and gutter, and hot mix asphalt street paving there. Property zoned RM12, which is low-density multifamily residential. And as I mentioned, the Planning and Zoning Commission took this up at their meeting on September 15th and reviewed the proposed preliminary plat favorably and recommends it be approved by the council. So I don't have anything further in terms of any background on that unless anyone has any questions.
Council, any questions for Scott?
Just out of my own ignorance here, low-density multifamily, is that what you?
Low-density multifamily, so that basically allows for like twin home development.
Okay.
Not apartment projects.
Okay. So, but also a combination of single family.
Yep. So it's kind of, the concept works like on kind of pyramid zoning, so that's a little bit higher level classification than like the RS8, but everything that's included in the RS8 that's below it would be included in this RM12 category as well. So, but plan is of course single family dwellings.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. We'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2051, resolution approving the preliminary plat of Sunset Ridge Second Edition. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 2051. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to comment quick. I think this is a terrific project, frankly. You said 11 lots, Scott, in this. I think just the importance of new housing in a community is a very significant issue. And, you know, we've done a great job, I think, this year in some other areas of the community. And I think this is just another one that will add to that. So, again, a very exciting development for Clear Lake.
Any other discussion, Council? Thank you. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2051 is duly adopted. 6B, Flat Rock Subdivision, preliminary plat. Mr. Flory.
Thanks again, Mayor. The first green sheet in your packet addresses this, very similar to the last item that we just reviewed. This is also a preliminary plat for Flat Rock subdivision. If you recall from the previous council meeting, we talked about the Rocca development project that would be going on, and I had indicated at the last meeting that we would be reviewing a preliminary plat for that Flat Rock subdivision at this evening's council meeting. So you've got the resolution in your packet approving the preliminary plat. Again, on the back side of that is a letter from the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, again indicating that the subdivision was reviewed at their regular meeting on September 15th and was favorably reviewed, and a recommendation to approve has been forwarded on to the council. And then also you've got a copy of the preliminary plat itself on the white sheet, the 11 by 17 white sheet there in your packet. You know, as we talked about at the last meeting, this is a two-lot light industrial development subdivision, so it's on about 10.9 acres of property. It's located just east of the grain vac property there, so in between North 36th Place and ultimately what will be platted through this subdivision development process as a North 40th Street right-of-way. The Lot 1 is where the new Rocca development project will be located. Lot 2 will be kind of put into reserve, I guess, so it'll be an opportunity for the owners of the property at some point if they wish to sell that for future development. The infrastructure will be in place. If you recall from the previous meeting, the council had approved a development agreement that would enable for the city to partner with the developer to offset costs associated with extension of the sanitary sewer collection system. It stops there at the lift station just on the west side of North 36th Place. So they'll pick it up, the contractor will pick it up from there and extend it all the way east to ultimately the property line where North 40th Street right-of-way would be platted. So as we talked about at the last meeting, gives an opportunity for service of sewer, sanitary sewer to other properties, most notably probably the airport property there as well. So I think that's an exciting economic development project. In total, from the last meeting, I think I mentioned it's roughly a $3 million capital investment. So nice to have that in our community. Again, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this, and the site plan for the Rocca project at the last meeting reviewed favorably. So they're forwarding the recommendation on for the council's favorable approval of that this evening. So I don't have anything further in terms of any background on the subdivision. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Just a couple,
Yeah.
Scott. On North 36th Street Place, just comment on that. Is that a street presently, or?
Well, there is some issues there with the DOT that have to be resolved yet, but it is intended that will be a city street. So I think it's more or less, I don't want to describe it too much as bureaucracy, but whether or not that has actually officially been deeded to the city. I think the history is that the DOT wants to have that deeded to the city, but somewhere along the lines, that process may not have been fulfilled. So it's just a matter of finishing that out. But yeah, the intention is that is a city street.
Okay, and then North 40th will just, that's for a right-of-way at the present time?
Yes.
And there'll be no...
No
Okay.
street developed. So
Okay.
just the dedication of the right-of-way. So at some point in the future, that if that Lot 2 were to develop, access could be gained off of the highway via that future North 40th Street that at that time would have to be developed.
Okay, and the sanitary sewer is being run then all the way from North 36 over to North 40th?
Correct.
And there at the present time?
Right.
All right, and the present water line goes there and then directly out to the airport, and that's presently in and serving the airport?
Yep, nothing to do with,
Okay.
water's already in.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah. North 40th Street, obviously is within the city limits of Clear Lake. If you extend it north with this right-of-way, will that be the eastern terminus of our city limits in that north of Highway 120 or 18 or 122 or whatever it is out there?
Yep, they'll be platting the portion that they have through the property. So I don't recall the lineal footage on that, but whatever the distance of that Lot 2 north and south is, that would be as far north as that right-of-way is extended.
But my question is, I'm just a little fuzzy on the city limits.
Oh.
So, I mean, we have annexed this piece, obviously, or we wouldn't be
Right.
granting the right to a subdivision here. So, do the city limits end at North 40th Street extended?
They're gerrymandered there, so it could be. I don't have that
Okay.
A map right in front of me of it, but yeah, the city limits kind of are. If you've looked at a map, they kind of zigzag like that. But my guess is this is probably to the city limits. I don't. Maybe Joe knows, but the property is of course in the city.
Sure.
limits,
No, I kind of jumped to that wild conclusion
Yep.
all by myself. But and how far north along the street we just paved, 32nd Street, I believe?
Yep.
How far north do the city limits go on
Quite a
there?
ways.
Okay.
Yep. This would not be as far. I say I don't have the recollection in my mind as far as where the city limits goes there, but I know it's kind of
angles back.
It
to
kind
that
of
point.
zigzags a little bit in there. It's not the case over on North 32nd. That's a long straight shot. We go quite a ways north there. So this would not be,
Yeah, okay, just curious.
Council, any other questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2052, a resolution approving the preliminary plat of Flat Rock subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 2052. Is there any discussion? Mike,
Yes,
Dana,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2052 is duly adopted. 6C, Vacation Rental Property Inspections Agreement and Ordinance Increasing Permit Fees. Review, Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mayor. The pink sheet council in your packet addresses this. This is an ordinance that increases doesn't change any other aspects of the ordinance that we adopted about 3 years ago pertaining to vacation rentals. So this only deals with a permit fee adjustment. So this would adjust the application fee for a permit from $150 to $500. But again, nothing else changes as far as the permit, or as far as the ordinance itself is concerned, only the adjustment of the permit fee. And the purple sheet is a proposal that we negotiated with a firm here in North Iowa, Mesa City, Berglund and Cram, to essentially what I would describe as outsource the inspection process of the vacation rental procedure that we have. So right now we currently have about 50 vacation rentals that are registered with the city. So every year the building official has to go out and conduct an inspection on those. And when it started out, we didn't have that many, but seem to be getting more and more, and it's becoming, I think, something that can be better done by outsourcing it than in-house. We only have a building department of one person, and I think as Bennett had talked about earlier, we've had a really good year on construction, and this year we're going to top over 23 building permits for new homes in the community, multiple subdivisions, and we're stretching our human resources in that department pretty thin. And so this would be an opportunity, I think, for us to work with this firm to do what I would describe as a much more thorough, more enhanced inspection process than what we're able to do in-house. So their fee to the city is $450 per unit that they inspect, and they write a report and evaluate it and compare it to the building code requirements and all those kinds of things. So they'll review that, make the report, file it with the city. We'll still have some coordination to do with our staff here at City Hall and probably also with the building official. So what we're proposing is just really nothing more than covering our cost. So it's covering the cost of an outside firm to do the inspection and then a little bit of our time to coordinate managing that process. So I think the permits are due. They expire at the end of this month, and so we've prepared the ordinance under the assumption that you would waive all 3 readings and have it finally adopted this evening, if you wish, so that we could start getting letters out to the registered permittees that we have on file here and letting them know that the application fee is increased and that they can start making that process, filing the application fee, and we set up the inspection process for them. And as you noticed probably in the proposal from Berglund Cram, that their proposal would be that they would conduct the inspections between January and March of next year for all of those that we have on, and we anticipate there probably will be some additional ones come on. So between March and whenever, we would also have them conduct inspections on any latecomers as well. So. Again, I think it's a good opportunity for us to probably improve our process that we have, just more or less by outsourcing it.
So Scott, will these notices go directly to the present VRBO
Yep.
people?
Yep. Yeah, we send a letter out, just a permit renewal letter, and so if we approve this, we'll send the letters out indicating that the application fee is increased and that the inspections are now going to be outsourced to a third party.
Council, any other questions for Scott?
What year did we pass the initial ordinance?
17.
Yeah, I thought it was recently,
Mhm.
yeah.
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 856. This is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clear Lake, 2003 by amending vacation rental permit fees. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mike, that we approve ordinance number 856 on the first reading. Is there any discussion?
Just a couple of quick comments. I was sitting with this group when we passed the initial one, as were a couple of you other gentlemen, and it's kind of interesting because things that you could never anticipate needing an ordinance for sometimes get dropped in your lap. And this was one of those things, as these things started exploding all over Clear Lake, and we started getting a variety of complaints about some of this circumstance. So put an ordinance together to kind of streamline the process, try to get a handle on, you know, maybe how many people should be able to show up and stay at a place like this. We had some parking issues, so we had to craft some language for that. And you know, a local contact, because many of these are out-of-town owners, out-of-state owners even. So we did the best we could. I think the initial amount we threw out there was just kind of an arbitrary amount, but as the water has become more congested with this circumstance, I think, as Scott has pointed out very accurately here, we were starting to take a real beating on trying to keep up with the inspections and just the staff time that was being put in on this. So I think, you know, anyone that questions why this had to be bumped up a little, I think it's fairly obvious. So anyway, I'm definitely in favor of it.
Any other discussion, Council? Not appearing to do roll call. Vote for ordinance number 856 on the first reading. Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Ordinance number 856 is approved on the first reading.
Mayor, I move that the requirement of Iowa Code Section 380-3, that a proposed ordinance or amendment be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed, be suspended and waived, that this ordinance be fully passed and adopted at this time.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded pursuant to Iowa Code Section 38.3 to suspend the rules and place ordinance number 856 on the final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Bennett?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 to suspend the rules. And now, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 856, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clear Lake, 2003 by amending the vacation rental permit fees, and this is on the final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Where am I? Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mark, that approve number 856 on the final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And Bennett.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And ordinance number 856 is duly adopted. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve the services partnership agreement with Berglund and Cram for property inspection services.
So
moved.
offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Dana, that we approve the service partnership agreement with Berglund and Cram for this property inspection. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Go right to 6D, Sunset School Urban Revitalization Plan and District.
Thank you, Mayor. The Yellow Sheet Council in your packet addresses this item. That's a resolution of necessity setting the date for a public hearing on this proposal. Date for the public hearing would be November 2nd, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. And then the gray sheets that follow that are a draft proposal for the plan for the urban revitalization plan entitled the 2020 Sunset School Urban Revitalization Plan. So this is very similar to other urban revitalization plans that we've adopted. So for example, on South 15th Street for that redevelopment project there, the One Vision campus, we adopted a similar urban revitalization plan there, as well as down at the former Northland class property. So those are the existing urban revitalization plans and districts that we have in place. This would be another one, and this is allowed, of course, under Chapter 404 of the Code of Iowa, gives the cities the ability to adopt these kinds of plans. So essentially, this provides that qualifying residential development would be able to receive a partial property tax exemption under that section of the Iowa Code. So under Section 404, we have to, again, publish the notice in the newspaper, hold the public hearing, and then there's the timeline that I've laid out here in the agenda that we have to follow. So this evening, the council considers the resolution of necessity, providing for the notice of hearing. The clerk will then publish the notice in the Clear Lake Mirror Reporter. That'll be done on October 21st. On November 2nd, the council would hold the public hearing, consider the resolution to approve the plan, and then also consider the first reading of the ordinance to establish the urban revitalization district. And then if you were to hold the second and third readings at the same meeting, you would be able to finally adopt the urban revitalization district ordinance at your meeting on November 16th. So again, this only deals with the Sunset School property. Again, very common for communities to adopt these kinds of things, especially for these kinds of projects where they involve dilapidated or otherwise perhaps blighted structures that are on them as an inducement to a developer to make the property more attractive for redevelopment purposes. So this does not do anything as far as the zoning of the property goes. The property, of course, is still currently zoned P, which is public. So at whatever point the developer comes forward with a concept plan for redevelopment of the property, that will have to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission to review the rezoning request change proposal, and then that would come back to the council for a public hearing on the rezoning proposal for that. So obviously it cannot remain public, so it'd be some form of residential zoning. I know from talking to the developers that their intention is to develop a variety of housing types, but most significantly market rate apartment rentals for this particular location. They've also again talked about maybe potentially some single family and maybe some duplex kind of stuff as well. So it could be a variety of things, but again, we don't have any detailed concept plans yet for the property. So this is just the first step in the overall future redevelopment of that 408 Mars Hill Drive Sunset School property, putting this plan together. So I would expect probably once this process is completed that the concept plans for development and then rezoning would come forward after that.
Questions, Scott? Not appearing, entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2053. This is a resolution to declare a necessity and establish a date of hearing, which shall be November 2nd, 2020, on the proposed 2020 Sunset School Urban Revitalization Plan in the city of Clear Lake, Iowa.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 2053. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dana? Bennett?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Resolution 2053 is duly adopted. 6E, fiscal year 20 road use tax financial report. Review, Mr. Flory.
With any good fortune, this will be the last one of these I present, and the young guy there in the back will be presenting this next year. So this is the city finance report for road use tax. This is, again, as I always mention, every year about this time, we kind of hit a bunch of these kind of year-end reports. This is kind of the first one in a group of about 3 or 4 that we have. So again, this is the road use tax financial report. We're required, of course, under Section 321.14 of the Code of Iowa to file this report with the Department of Transportation, and it represents a financial accounting of the use of funds that we've received from the state through the road use tax program. So the report has to be filed by September 30th of each year, so we usually have it on one of the agendas in September. Again, after it's approved by the council, then we submit that to the Department of Transportation. The report includes really 2 primary large capital projects, the North 32nd Street project, as well as the major trunk line project that we undertook. The storm sewer portion of that project are both included in the fiscal year 20 road use tax report. So the project that we did on 4th Avenue South and South 3rd Street, again, that is a rehabilitation project, so a resurfacing project, and that's considered under the DOT threshold to be a maintenance level project, so that does not get included in the report. Only major new construction projects are included on the capital side there. Road use tax reports on a cash basis of accounting as of June 30th. We had, 2020 of course, had a road use tax fund ending balance of $1,694,646. So that's slightly more than what we had anticipated at the last budget amendment. And that amount was $1,489,061. We also do, as part of that, maintain the capital equipment reserve fund of $300,000. So, and you've got, again, in your packet, a copy of a memo from Linda Nelson that just kind of identifies some of the reasons why the balance was a little bit larger than what we anticipated for year end. So nothing really significant, and I think it was pretty good estimating there. So I don't have anything further on that, unless anyone has any questions.
Questions for Scott? I think I ask this or state this every year, but the road use tax fund is based on a per head.
Per capita. So it's about $130 per capita, and our road use tax funds, if you review those monthly reports, I was looking at it here not that terribly long ago, but it was the report for the year end for June 30th, and road use tax funding was as high as we have ever had. So people are definitely buying more gas. Not sure where they're going, but definitely buying more gas. And we receive those revenues. It's primarily from tax at the pump, but there's also vehicle registration fees and other kinds of fees that are collected that filter their way down to us from the state through the road use tax fund. But primarily, again, it's the tax that you see at the pump. We get a portion of that. So yeah, we have not, when we had the whole pandemic COVID situation, we kind of were a little bit concerned that road use tax might become more volatile, and not sure what to make of that. So we thought we might see a reduction in revenues there. We did not. In fact, we saw an increase. So.
Any questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1954. This is a resolution approving the fiscal year 2020 Iowa DOT road use tax financial report.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 1954. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Dana? Bennett?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 1954 is duly adopted. 6F, 2020 East Main Avenue Street Reconstruction Project, update on construction and review of pay estimate number 2, Mr. Petersburg, B&K. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll start with a brief update on the construction. The underground utility work is still progressing fairly well. Last couple weeks, there have been some issues with some of the soil that they've been excavating out from the trenches, which has caused them some extra work. They've hauled pretty much all the dirt off and had to dry it somewhere else and haul it back to backfill the trenches. So. Their WIC subcontractors, Nettleton and Wunsch, they're still working their way west with the sewer, water, and storm sewer utility work. Today they were right at the intersection of 15th Street with sanitary sewer. The water main is just about to 15th Street, working their way west, and the storm sewer is at 17th Street right now. So they're moving pretty well. We did have a scheduling conference today. If the weather continues to cooperate, they're expecting to have all the utility work east of 15th Street complete by the end of next week. At that time, WIC's excavation subcontractor will be on site working on the grading and the rock base between 15th and 18th Street. WIC does plan to complete some of the concrete paving this year. Worst case scenario is they're looking at from 15th Street to 20th Street. They'd like to have paved permanently so we wouldn't have to install the temporary asphalt paving. If the weather cooperates really well, they'd like to get all of the roadway paving itself done. The driveways poured back, and then the sidewalk work would be completed in the spring. Pay estimate 2 in your packets covers work completed in August. It includes some of the aggregate base that's been installed as well as the utility work completed on both ends of the project. Net amount due to WIC's construction for pay estimate 2 is $279,529.48. Questions?
Council, any questions for Jason? So we're moving right along. That's great. Thank you, Jason. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve pay estimate number 2 with regard to the 2020 East Main Avenue Street Reconstruction Project in the amount of $279,529.48 to Wicks Construction.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Gary, that we approve pay estimate number 2 to Wicks Construction. Is there a discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. 6G, Buddy Holly Place Street Reconfiguration Project. Review of bids. Recommendation for award of contract. Jason Petersburg.
In your packet include a bid tabulation as well as the resolution making award of contract for the Buddy Holly Place Street Reconfiguration Project. The last council meeting, we established September 17th as the date for receiving quotes for this project. The quotes were received and opened at that time. 3 bids were received. Bids range from 0.7% below the estimate to 48% over the engineer's opinion of cost. Complete Concrete from Clear Lake was the low bidder with a total bid of $49,591. We have successfully completed several projects with Complete Concrete in the past, and we do recommend awarding the contract to them. And I'll just note that the paving improvements are one component of the safety improvements planned at that intersection. The city also needs to make some changes to the traffic signal at Highway 18 and Buddy Holly, and then the railroad will follow up behind with the installation of the new signals and gate arms. Any questions on the bids?
Council, any questions for Jason? Thank you, Jason. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1955. This is a resolution making an award of contract to Complete Concrete of Clear Lake, Iowa, in the amount of $49,591.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 1955. Is there any discussion? Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Yes. And Mike.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 1955 is duly adopted. Chief Roth. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In your packets, in your blue sheet, or the blue sheet in the back of your packet is our August monthly report. The only thing I really have to add is a very important agenda item tonight is setting trick-or-treat hours and discussing it with the city. Since it's on a Saturday, we would like to actually push it up about 30 minutes this year at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. instead of usually 5:30 to 7:30. It does get dark around 6-ish at that time, so we'll have a little bit of light and a little bit of dark out for that. So that's all I really had, unless you had any questions or if there's any issues with those times for trick-or-treat. We'll publish that, and we are still working with public health to try to educate the public about safety with the treats and with the COVID issues for that night. So
This is all coordinated with Park and Rec, is that correct, or is that?
well, we coordinate with they usually have a parade, but we have to meet with Randy to figure out what he wants to do. That since it's on a Saturday, we may just do it the same day. We talked a little bit about, I don't remember what we talked about did you actually talk to Randy, Jennifer? But I'll get with him this week to tell him that we set the trick-or-treat dates, and if he wants to do it the 31st, then we could talk about that at the next council meeting if you'd like.
Okay, so in review, it's October 31st, and the time is from 5 to
5 to 7, 5 to 7.
5 to
p.m.
7, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Council, any questions for Chief? Okay, we need to have a motion on that. Council, motion to approve October 31st as trick-or-treat night in Clear Lake from the hours of 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Motion, please.
So offered.
Second. Moved by Mike, seconded by Mark, that we approve trick-or-treat October 31st, 5 to 7 p.m. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now to Mayor's report. Chad, are you online? North Iowa Corridor? Chad is not online this evening. Nor is Stacy, but I do have a report. Stacy Dawn, CEO of the Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce, and here are her notes. I believe she's not here tonight because she has a daughter who's in the cross-country meet at Humboldt, and she states, the triathlon at Clear Lake was very well received. Athletes and spectators were very respectful and followed our COVID-19 mitigation plan to make for a very successful event. Second note, the Chamber's All in Clear Lake fundraiser has gone very well. We appreciate the generosity of those who have donated. We'll be recognizing donors in the Mirror Reporter newspaper in the coming weeks. And third and last, Harvest Festival planning is going well. We're looking forward to having the socially distanced fall market downtown and music in the band shell. And the date for that is October 3rd. Then she also reminds council of the RACA, R-A-K-A, groundbreaking, she calls it ceremony, on Monday, September 28th at 2 p.m. at their site that we just talked about this evening. So she said the chamber would appreciate all who could to be in attendance there. I might say that the attendance at the wellness groundbreaking this past week was very well attended and appropriately covered by local media as well. We appreciate that. Mr. Weigel, recognize you for your Public Works report.
I don't have much to report, but
Day coming shortly. It's been a pleasure working with everyone. I'm grateful for the work every day in a job that I totally enjoy. That being said, obviously, I'm looking forward to the next phase of my life. Biggest year private development, but that's what I'm proud of this community with the infrastructure we now have with the family with this great community. Hopefully we continue and bring more people back to the area.
We also appreciate very much the 30-plus years that you have served this community. I, for one, have been in direct contact with you the last 15, and it's been very, very enjoyable. I certainly appreciate your knowledge of public works in this city, and I don't see how we're going to extract that and carry it on. But you have done a wonderful, wonderful job, Joe, and thanks. And council, I'd just like to say, and others, we're going to have a few tea and crumpets here after the meeting, so hang out here if you would. But thank you. Any other comments, council?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd just like to echo yours if I could. Thank you. Joe, again, I know as a new council member, I've benefited a lot from our conversations over the last 3 years, and I just wanted to publicly thank you for your service to Clear Lake and all the contributions you've made. I know I certainly have appreciated your advice, your professionalism, your commitment to this community, and so you will be dearly missed in your role. I know you're looking forward to retirement. I want to wish you well with that, but at the same time, I hope that we can continue to stay in touch and tap your expertise and wisdom on projects here in Clear Lake. And so again, I just want to take this opportunity publicly to thank you for all your years of service to Clear Lake and wish you well.
I've got a little better sense getting to know Joe and some of his responsibilities, and from a personal nature, how he got all that white hair. Anyway, great job, Joe.
And a great Hawkeye fan and a great Denver Bronco fan. So spent some time, I'm sure, as a spectator at each of those. So thanks. Mr. Flory.
Everyone else has said, it's just been wonderful, personally and professionally working with Joe. And when I came here over 19 years ago, I asked my predecessor about the staff we had. I asked specifically because I could not be successful in this job unless I had someone in his role who was very good. And so I asked about Joe and how he was here, and his response was, "Oh, he's excellent." And boy, was he right. I've never met anyone. I've met a lot of people in this field, working with engineers and technical kinds of people. And I've told this to Joe before, but I call him the Dean of Infrastructure. I've never met anyone that was as knowledgeable and up-to-date on infrastructure. The guy knows everything about water, sewer, storm sewer. If it's infrastructure, he knows it. And I wouldn't have had anywhere near the success that I enjoy here without him. So I'm going to miss you. It's so long, but not goodbye. And so hopefully we'll see you around more. But it's been a real honor and privilege for me to work with him. So.
And Mayor, if I could real quick, I'd also like to acknowledge his wife, Pat, and her service on the library board. I forget how many years she's done that, but that's been very valuable to us, and she has been terrific to work with on that board, and so just to acknowledge her as well. And so, again, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
And both of his children and their families have gone and left town to be educated and have returned back to town. And that's really neat to have as well. So, thank you. Any other business, council? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.